Story 1. I'll never forget the chilling sensation that ran down my spine as I stood in the dimly lit hospital corridor, staring at the flickering monitor displaying the ominous words, "Code Red, Network Breach." My heart raced with a mixture of fear and disbelief. How could this be happening? Let me take you back to that fateful day in 2015 when I was working as a nurse in a bustling hospital in Los Angeles. It started like any other day, with the usual hustle of doctors, nurses, and patients filling the halls. But little did we know that our lives were about to be turned upside down. I was in the middle of administering medication to a patient when the chaos began. Alarms blared, and nurses rushed past me with panicked expressions. I quickly abandoned my task and followed the commotion to the hospital's IT department, where a small team of technicians was frantically trying to contain the situation. As I approached, I overheard snippets of conversation that sent shivers down my spine. "Ransomware attack," one technician muttered grimly. "They've encrypted the patient files," another exclaimed in disbelief. My mind raced with questions, but before I could process what was happening, the gravity of the situation hit me like a ton of bricks. Without access to patient records, we effectively couldn't do anything. How could we provide proper care without knowing a patient's medical history, allergies, or treatment plans? Panic spread like wildfire throughout the hospital as word of the cyber attack spread. Patients were left waiting for hours as doctors and nurses struggled to piece together solutions. Some procedures were postponed indefinitely, while others were performed blindly, without the critical information needed to ensure patient safety. But it wasn't just the immediate chaos that shook us to our core. As the hours stretched into days, the full extent of the damage became painfully clear. Patient records, financial data, and administrative files, all encrypted and held hostage by faceless hackers demanding a ransom in exchange for their release. We were caught in a nightmare with no end in sight. Every moment felt like an eternity as we waited for updates from the IT department, hoping for a breakthrough that never seemed to come. Meanwhile, the hospital descended into chaos as administrators scrambled to mitigate the damage and reassure patients and their families. But amidst the chaos and uncertainty, there were moments of heroism and resilience that restored my faith in humanity. Doctors and nurses worked tirelessly around the clock, going above and beyond to care for their patients despite the obstacles standing in their way. Volunteers from the community rallied to offer support, donating food, supplies, and their time to help ease the burden on those affected by the attack. Days turned into weeks. The hackers remained elusive, their motives unknown, and their demands unmet. We were left to grapple with the harsh reality that our lives and livelihoods were at the mercy of cybercriminals who saw us as nothing more than pawns in their twisted game. Eventually, after what felt like an eternity, the hospital's IT team managed to restore some semblance of order. Patient records were painstakingly recovered from backups, and security protocols were strengthened to prevent future attacks. But the scars left by the cyber attack would linger long after the immediate crisis had passed. As I reflect on that experience, I'm reminded of the fragility of our modern world and the ever-present threat of cyber warfare. But I'm also filled with a sense of gratitude for the resilience and compassion of those who stood by our side during our darkest hour. Story 2. As I sit here, recounting the events of that fateful year, my mind still reels from the chaos and devastation caused by the breach. It all started innocently enough, just another day at the office. I was a cybersecurity analyst at Target, one of the largest retail chains in the country. Little did I know that this day would mark the beginning of a nightmare that would haunt me for years to come. It was a crisp autumn morning when I arrived at the Target headquarters in Minneapolis. The atmosphere buzzed with the usual energy of a bustling corporate office. As I settled into my cubicle, sipping on a steaming cup of coffee, little did I know that our systems had already been compromised. The first indication that something was amiss came in the form of a cryptic email from our IT department. It was brief and to the point, warning us of suspicious activity on the network and urging us to remain vigilant. I remember dismissing it as just another routine security alert, never imagining the magnitude of what was about to unfold. As the day progressed, I delved into my usual tasks, poring over logs and running routine scans to ensure the integrity of our systems. But lurking beneath the surface was a silent menace, a shadowy presence that had infiltrated our defenses with chilling precision. It wasn't until mid-afternoon that the full extent of the breach became apparent. Panic rippled through the office as news spread of unauthorized access to our point-of-sale systems. It was like a scene from a thriller movie, with executives scrambling to contain the damage and IT teams working frantically to identify the source of the intrusion. I remember the sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach as I realized the severity of the situation. Our customers' sensitive information, credit card numbers, personal data, was at risk of falling into the hands of malicious hackers. The very thought sent shivers down my spine. In the days that followed, we worked around the clock, racing against time to plug the security holes and mitigate the damage. But it was like trying to stop a leaky dam with our bare hands. The breach had already spread like wildfire. As news of the breach broke to the public, a wave of panic swept across the country. Customers flooded our call centers with inquiries and complaints, their voices trembling with fear and anger. I couldn't blame them. I felt their pain, knowing that their trust in our brand had been shattered. But amidst the chaos, there was a glimmer of hope, a determination to fight back against the faceless enemy that had caused such havoc upon us. We collaborated with law enforcement agencies and cybersecurity experts, pooling our resources to track down the perpetrators and bring them to justice. Weeks turned into months as we painstakingly pieced together the puzzle of the breach. It was like chasing a ghost, with our adversary always one step ahead of us. But we refused to give up, driven by a sense of duty to protect our customers and restore their faith in our company. Finally, after months of relentless pursuit, we caught a break, a lead that would ultimately unravel the mystery of the breach. It led us to a group of sophisticated cybercriminals operating halfway across the world, their identities shrouded in secrecy behind layers of encryption and anonymity. Armed with this newfound knowledge, we launched a coordinated operation to dismantle the hacker network and bring its members to justice. It was a tense ordeal, with every keystroke fraught with the risk of failure. But in the end, justice prevailed, and the perpetrators were apprehended and brought to trial. As I reflect on those days, I'm filled with a sense of pride and accomplishment. Despite the odds stacked against us, we stood tall in the face of adversity, united in our resolve to protect what mattered most, our customers' trust and security. But the scars of the breach run deep, serving as a stark reminder of the ever-present threat of cyber attacks in our digital age. It's a battle that continues to rage on, with new threats emerging daily. Yet amidst the darkness, there is hope, a beacon of light that guides us forward on our journey towards a safer, more secure future. And as long as there are brave souls willing to stand up and fight for what's right, I have faith that we will prevail, no matter the challenges that lie ahead. Story 3. As I sit here, fingers tapping on the keyboard, memories of that fateful day come flooding back to me like a nightmare I can't shake. It was a typical afternoon in September 2017 when I received a call that would change everything. I was working as a cybersecurity analyst at Equifax, one of the largest credit reporting agencies in the world. Little did I know, I was about to be in the center of one of the most devastating data breaches in history. The sun was casting long shadows through the office windows as I sat hunched over my computer, poring over lines of code, hunting for any signs of vulnerability in our systems. The air was thick with tension as rumors of a possible breach circulated among my colleagues. We were on high alert, but nothing could have prepared us for what was about to unfold. It started with a notification from our monitoring system, a blip on the screen that sent a shiver down my spine. Someone was trying to gain unauthorized access to our network. My heart raced as I sprang into action, tracing the digital footprints of the intruder, trying to block their path before they could do any damage. But it was already too late. As I delved deeper into our network, I stumbled upon a chilling sight. Our worst fears had been realized. The intruders had breached our defenses and gained access to sensitive customer data. My stomach churned as I realized the magnitude of what had just happened. Millions of people's personal information was now at risk, and it was my job to contain the damage. I alerted my superiors immediately, my voice trembling as I relayed the news. Panic swept through the office like wildfire as teams scrambled to assess the extent of the breach and devise a plan to mitigate its impact. But even as we worked frantically to shore up our defenses, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread that hung over me like a dark cloud. The days that followed were a blur of frantic activity as we raced against the clock to contain the fallout from the breach. The media descended upon us like vultures, hungry for any scraps of information they could get their hands on. I found myself thrust into the spotlight, fielding questions from reporters eager to uncover the truth behind the breach. But amid the chaos and confusion, one thing became painfully clear: the breach had exposed a gaping hole in our cybersecurity defenses that we were unprepared to address. As the days turned into weeks, the full extent of the damage became apparent. Millions of people's personal information had been compromised, leaving them vulnerable to identity theft and financial fraud. The weight of that knowledge hung heavy on my shoulders as I struggled to come to terms with my role in the disaster. I couldn't help but feel responsible, haunted by the thought that I could have done more to prevent it. But no amount of guilt or regret could change the past. In the aftermath of the breach, Equifax faced a barrage of lawsuits and regulatory scrutiny, and our once sterling reputation lay in pieces. The fallout from the breach would continue to reverberate for years to come, serving as a cautionary tale of the dangers of complacency in the face of ever-evolving cyber threats. As I sit here now, reflecting on those dark days, I can't help but wonder what could have been done differently. But one thing is certain: the Equifax data breach was a wake-up call that shook the cybersecurity world to its core, reminding us all of the importance of vigilance and preparedness in the face of an ever-present threat. Story 4. It was the summer of 2010, and tensions between nations were simmering beneath the surface. I was a cybersecurity analyst, working for a government contractor tasked with protecting critical infrastructure from cyber threats. Little did I know, I was about to be thrown into one of the most secretive and sophisticated cyber operations in history, the Stuxnet virus. It all began with a routine morning at the office. As I sipped my coffee and scanned through the latest security alerts, a repetitive pattern caught my eye. A new malware strain had been detected in the wild, spreading rapidly through industrial systems worldwide. Its name, Stuxnet. At first glance, Stuxnet seemed like just another piece of malicious code, but as I delved deeper into its intricacies, I realized this was something far more sinister. Unlike typical malware, Stuxnet wasn't interested in stealing data or causing chaos in cyberspace. No, its target was much more specific: the control systems used in nuclear facilities. As I pored over lines of code, I couldn't shake the feeling that Stuxnet was different, meticulously crafted with a specific purpose in mind. It was as if every byte of data was a piece of a puzzle, carefully designed to infiltrate and sabotage its target from within. As days turned into weeks, the true scope of Stuxnet's capabilities began to unravel. It exploited zero-day vulnerabilities in Windows operating systems and spread through USB drives, infecting any industrial systems it encountered along the way. But what truly set Stuxnet apart was its ability to manipulate programmable logic controllers, PLCs, the very heart of industrial control systems. I found myself immersed in a game with an adversary unlike any I had encountered before. With each passing day, Stuxnet evolved, adapting to our countermeasures and eluding our attempts to contain it. It was a relentless, one that seemed to have an intimate understanding of the systems it was targeting. As the weeks turned into months, rumors began to circulate within the cybersecurity community about the true origins of Stuxnet. Some whispered of a covert operation orchestrated by a nation-state with the resources and expertise to pull off such a sophisticated attack. Others speculated about the involvement of intelligence agencies and clandestine cyber warfare units. But amidst the speculation and conspiracy theories, one thing became clear: Stuxnet was a weapon, a tool of cyber warfare wielded by unseen hands with a geopolitical agenda. It was a chilling realization, one that shook me to my core and forced me to confront the harsh reality of the digital age we live in. As Stuxnet unfolded, I found myself drawn deeper into the world of cyber espionage and clandestine operations. I uncovered evidence of state-sponsored hacking campaigns targeting critical infrastructure and learned of the lengths nations would go to gain a strategic advantage in the digital realm. But amidst the chaos and uncertainty, there was a glimmer of hope. The Stuxnet virus may have been a wake-up call for the cybersecurity community, but it also served as a testament to our resilience and determination in the face of adversity. We may never know the full extent of Stuxnet's impact or the true motives behind its creation, but one thing is certain: the age of cyber warfare has dawned, and we must be prepared to defend ourselves against this new breed of threat. As I reflect on my experience with Stuxnet, I can't help but wonder what the future holds. Will we see more sophisticated cyber weapons unleashed upon the world? Or will we rise to the challenge and a safer, more secure digital landscape for generations to come? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: the battle for cyberspace has only just begun. Story 5. I never thought my life would become a cautionary tale, a headline splashed across newspapers and websites. But here I am, a protagonist in my own personal nightmare, the Ashley Madison affair. It all began innocently enough, or so I thought. I was a successful businessman, married to my high school sweetheart, with 2 beautiful children and a seemingly perfect life. Yet, like many others, I found myself yearning for something more, something exhilarating and forbidden. That's when I stumbled upon Ashley Madison, the infamous website promising discreet affairs and secrets. It was like a siren's call, tempting me with the promise of excitement and adventure beyond the confines of my mundane existence. With trembling hands and a racing heart, I created an account, weaving a web of lies and deceit to conceal my identity. I crafted a profile, carefully selecting the perfect picture and crafting a seductive bio designed to lure unsuspecting prey into my trap. The responses came flooding in, each one more tantalizing than the last. I was like a kid in a candy store, giddy with anticipation as I exchanged messages with potential partners, each one a tantalizing glimpse into a world I had only dreamed of. But with each secret, the thrill began to diminish, replaced by guilt and remorse. I found myself torn between my desire for adventure and my love for my family, trapped in a web of my own making with no way out. Then came the day when everything came crashing down around me. I woke up to find my inbox flooded with messages from an unknown sender, each one containing a screenshot of my Ashley Madison profile and a chilling ultimatum: pay up or face the consequences. My heart plummeted into my stomach as I realized the gravity of the situation. I had been hacked, my deepest, darkest secrets laid bare for the world to see. Panic surged through me like a tidal wave as I frantically tried to contain the damage, but it was already too late. The news broke like wildfire, spreading like a virus across social media and news outlets alike. My face was plastered across tabloids, my name synonymous with infidelity and betrayal. The fallout was catastrophic. My marriage crumbled before my eyes, my wife's tears a constant reminder of the pain I had caused. My children became targets of ridicule and scorn, their once happy lives shattered by the sins of their father. But perhaps the most devastating blow was the loss of trust, trust in myself, trust in others, trust in the very fabric of society. I had become an outcast, a living embodiment of the consequences of temptation and greed. As I sit here now, alone with my thoughts and haunted by the ghosts of my past, I can't help but wonder how it all went so wrong. Was it the allure of forbidden fruit, the thrill of the chase, or simply the inevitability of fate? One thing is for certain: the Ashley Madison affair will forever be etched into the annals of my life, a stain that can never be washed away, a scar that will never fully heal. And as I gaze into the abyss of my own making, I can only hope that someday, somehow, I will find redemption in the ashes of my own destruction.